came up with a report, a commission report, stating that this person called Satrajit worships a certain gem called a Syamantakam. So the Syamantaka is a gem given by the sun. Sun has a huge connection with that part. Remember, the Tropic of Cancer passes there. That is why you have many sun temples of Modhera, of let's say Multan in Pakistan. All these temples just above and below the Tropic of Cancer. It's called the Shaura belt. That is why that region is called Shaurashtra. Shauram is sun. So those group of people during the invasion started making Shungadi in Madurai. They were also called Saurashtra, right? So they came from the worship, the land of the sun. Now, the moment Krishna understood that this was a gem that was floating in Gujarat, he said that this has to be under the government control. Something which is of this priceless nature shouldn't be with an individual. This person refused to depart with that gem. The next day, there was a huge headline because the gem went missing. So immediately there was a call, Krishna Chor Hai. Because he had asked for the gem. Next day the gem goes missing, and Krishna didn't have a reputed history with integrity. So he was called Ranachodrai, he was called the Chor and everything. So obviously fingers were pointed to Krishna. Krishna was amazed and flabbergasted, to say the least. When I did steal butter, people were justifying my act, and today when I'm doing nothing, people call me a thief. So he had to excuse himself from the accusation put at him. So that's when he goes to the forest and gets the gem back. From that's a different story. So he gets the gem back. Then he comes back and starts wondering, why should an accusation such as this, which is false in nature, fall on me? That is when Narada comes and says that you looked at the moon on the fourth night. So this accusation has come because it's a belief that when you look at the moon on the Chaturthi night, a false accusation will always come on you. So to mitigate that, Krishna performs this vratam called as Vinayaka Vratam, which has been mentioned by Muthuswami Dikshitar of Tiruvarur. Tiruvarur has produced many intellectuals, just not one. So in the list of intellectuals, we have one called as Muthuswami Dikshitar, who says, Rauhiniya Nujarchitam, the one who has been worshipped by the brother of the son of Rohini. So Rohini incidentally was the name of Balarama's mother. So Balarama's mother, Rohini's son Balarama, was called Rauhiniya. His Anuja, whose brother is Krishna, Rauhiniya Nujarchitam. So to mitigate that, this thought is just not local in nature. We talk about local products, right? This is transition boundaries. Even Krishna Devaraya in his magnum opus called Amukta Malyada, a Telugu classical work, says, it seems Andal used to look at the moon. If you look at the moon on the fourth night, the false accusation will come on you. You will become a thief. But when moon looked at Andal on the fourth night, it seems he was called a thief because he robbed away the beauty of Andal. So literature carries the concept of thoughts. So today, where I began with a very process to tell that Indu, Indoi stands for Indu, which is the moon. And this land was called the land of the moon, the land of the knowledge, the land of the stable knowledge. I don't know how many of you follow the Tamil yesteryear movies. There's a beautiful dialogue from Poombuhar. Vijay Kumari carries that anklet in her hand. She has been crystallized into a statue. And there was an issue where to keep her, facing the city or facing the sea in Chennai. Let's now remember Vijay Kumari for some time. So she carried that anklet, seeking justice for her beheaded, guillotined husband. She goes to the court of the Pandian called as Nedunjaliya Pandian. You know what she says? Nedunjaliya Pandiyane, Needi Tavariya Unakku, Venkotra Kudai Edarku. This is a dialogue from the movie. Why? Because most kings in those days, all three functions were combined into one person. If the city or the province is in trouble, the king has to personally go and fight. If there is an issue that has come up to the king's court, the king has to become the judge. If there is a question of arts and culture which is to be nurtured, it is the king who has to do it. everything was centralized in the king. Today we have separated that. Suppose I have an issue, I go to the court, the judgment is given by the court. If there is an attack from China or Pakistan, the army fights it. So there is no one leader who encompasses all these functions. But in those days, the king had to be learned. The king had to be very good in making decisions and giving judgments. The king had to be valorous to fight his enemies. The king had to be a patron and a fan of arts and culture. So that is why you have a Chola Raja who used to give decisions. The same Chola Raja used to have a naval fleet like Rajaraja Chola to fight the enemies. The same Rajaraja Chola will build a temple also. So he had to be everything. This is too much of an expectation today. Right? You can't expect everything to come into one person. One in one person itself is such a task today. So you had everything. Now, how was the Venkotrakkodai? Venkotrakkodai will just be a replica of the Himalayas, if you see. I spoke from Myanmar to Afghanistan, right? So it comes like a crescent moon. So the king had to sit under the replica of the moon, and the moon that gives the cool rays, even the umbrella had to give. So Venkotrakkodai, because the king had to make decisions with a stable mind. So Kannagi is asking, when you have made a wrong decision to kill the wrong person who's my husband, then you have not made a stable decision at all. Your mind has not been functioning. In that case, why do you need the umbrella? Needi tavariya unakku Venkotrakkodai edarku? Because this is the land of the moon, the land of the knowledge, the land of the stable knowledge. Now that I've covered Krishna, Rama, some parts of history, let me get to the Tamil literature. Andal, the mystic poetess, the apt, this would have been an apt topic had this conference happened in Madurai, because they own Andal, right? Nevertheless, for a few minutes, let's say Kongunadu also owns Andal. Now, Andal tells in one of her pasurams, Kilvanam Vellendru Yerumai Siruveedu Meivan Parandanagan Mikkulla Pillaigalum Povan Pohinnarai Pogamal Kattu Unnai Kuvuvan Vandu Nindrom Kodukalamudaya Pavai Elundirai Padipparai Mavai Pilandanai Mallarai Mattiya Devadi Devanai Sendru Nam Sevittal Ava Vendru Araindu Arul Yelor Embavai. So here, Andal, she is in the process of waking up her friends. She says, I don't have to have the anubhavam, the experience of seeing Paramatma just alone, ekakina rameta, let me have some friends too. So she goes knocking the door of her friend. The friend is totally lethargic. The beauty was, Swati is such a good friend, she was talking about exercises. I'm just in the other end of the spectrum. I take an auto rickshaw to go to my bathroom. So, I don't even want to count those steps into my health. So somebody said, what will happen if you don't exercise? I said, I may die a gory death, that's still okay. So, now, coming to the point, Andal goes and knocks at the door of her friend, so that she could also join her in the wee hours of the morning. As she knocks, the girl inside says, why should I wake up? This girl is a very, very, Hindi mein jo bolte hain chalu, very clever. She knows what to talk, how to talk. So this girl has been debating with Andal. So the girl inside says, I won't wake up. Andal tells, you have to wake up, you have to join me. See, other friends have come. So the girl inside asks, what is the sign that the nature shows that it is early hour? You could be, I remember my mother, she will wake me up at somewhere around 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And I'll ask, why are you waking me up now? It's already 6:30, she'll say. So I would wake up and then, to my loss, I'll find it will be 3:30. So probably Andal could also be playing prank with her friend, right? So this girl inside asks, Andal, you're waking me up. You tell me, why should I wake up? What is the sign that it is early morning? Andal tells, Kilvanam Vel Endru Yerumai Siruveedu. Kilvanam is lower horizon. Bhumiyum Agayamum Serum Idathirku horizon என்று பெயர். हिंदी पूर्वबोधु जब हिंदी में बात करते हैं तो उसी को बोलते हैं क्षितिज. क्षितिज is horizon. So in the horizon I can see traces of white light, tells Andal. Kilvanam well. Well means white. Endru. Then what is the next sign? Andal tells Yerumai Siruveedu Meivan. Siruveedu in proper Tamil means pasturing land, because Siruveedu can actually get translated into something which is not worth of mentioning here. So Siruveedu means pasturing land. Kilvanam Vellendru Yerumai Siruveedu. The big stock of buffaloes are going grazing there. Meivan Parandanakan Mikkulla Pillaigalum Povan. So all the other children have also woken up because the buffaloes have gone grazing. The horizon is white. So, oh my dear friend, wake up. You know what the girl inside the house, she says? She says, Andal, you've mistaken. It's not early hours of morning. It's a Brahma. It's an illusion to you. Andal asks how. Look at the way the girl inside describes. She says, it is not just you, Andal. All our 5 lakh women folk of Srivilliputtur have come here to wake me up. How are your faces? Your faces look like full moon. Imagine 5 lakh women with full moon like face and radiance are coming together. So the reflection of their whiteness on their face fell onto the clouds. So it has turned white. It is not early morning because you all have come together with moon-like faces. The whiteness from your face has come to the sky. Then Andal asks, okay, for that you're telling it has turned white. But I'm also telling the buffaloes have come, right? The girl inside says, it is not actually the buffaloes, you've mistaken. You girls with moon-like face have come together and you keep looking at the sky, so the sky looks temporarily white and bright. You all have black tresses, hair tresses. So with such curly, effervescent black tresses, you're all facing, all your hair locks are facing backwards. So the black hue in your hair has reflected on the white clouds, and since the white clouds keep moving, the black hue that has fallen on the clouds seems as if stalks of buffaloes are moving. So Kilvanam Vellendru Yerumai Siruveedu Meivan. So even in Tamil literature, to describe the face, to describe the stability of the mind, the moon has been used. That is why I mentioned at the start. In Tamil, the word for the moon is Madi. The word for the mind is also Madi. Because, of course, in Kerala there's a different meaning. Madi means enough. I will stop my lecture. I'll take that also into account. We're very close to the border as well. So, mind is very, very important for one to crystallize the thought process, which is a verb that turns into a noun. Such thoughts which are crystallized see and take shapes in the form of literature, both in Sanskritam and Tamil. So a civilization starts assimilating such thoughts, and the power of such thoughts can only be felt when you read. So the topic given to me was power of thoughts. Thoughts comes from the mind. The mind in the Indic civilization stands for moon, and this is referred to as the land of the moon, which is the land of the stable mind people. So when we have such stable minds, when we have such beautiful thoughts that emanate from such minds, they get crystallized into literature, and the power of such thoughts can be felt only when you read literature. So with this, I think I will take up a few more questions before this session is done. Yeah. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm sure there were bright minds with such great clarity right from the first session to the second. We have heard so many people who have touched various levels and heights of successes speak. A learning process in itself. As stated earlier, my connection with Shankar, his team, all people who work with him and to many dignitaries present here is so special in its own way. So, my obeisances to all of them who are present here and to an audience. What happens is in such summits, the mood of a session changes one after the other. If the mood of the first session was a certain thing A, then it goes to mood B in the next session, and now mood C. So, more than the speaker who has to work, it is the audience who have to get accustomed to the change of A to B and B to C. But I'm sure that's going to be easy because we are going to be the land of the moon. So the land of the moon knows how to transition itself and come with a stable mind and work towards the stability of the mind. Thank you once again for being such a sport and giving such patient hearing to this talk. Of course, there's a question and answer session. Shankar will be moderating it and she'll be asking me questions. The questions I'm sure will be interesting. I'm not sure about the answers. If I know of the answers, I'll confidently answer. If I do not know of the answer, I'll be more than confident to say that I don't know the answer. Thank you.
Hello. Dushyant, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
A lot of people who are asleep are...
No,
I'll start on the lightest way.
No, they're contemplating about the moon.
Oh, good. Dushyant, we have a lot of fans who follow you diligently on all forms of media. See, there are a lot of questions which came. So I'm just taking 2. And you have about 10 minutes to complete.
Sure.
Coimbatore wants to know.
Okay.
Okay. Now the first question is, Dushyant, there was a time, I can't quote verses like you, there was a time when Ram was really upset with Sugrivan. That 4 months of monsoons, he was waiting for Sugrivan to come back and help him with those monkeys and all that. And when his frustration was at its peak, his peak, he finally sends Lakshmana to go and meet Sugrivan and reminds him of his promise. So what I would like to ask you, now there are 2 ways of looking at it. You look at Ram and Sita either as normal human beings, or you look at them as Vishnu and his wife. Was Ram, who's known to be the absolute man, was he sent Lakshmana to meet Sugrivan to vent out his anger. He was like frustrated. I would like to understand it as to what was his thoughts then and what was running in his mind. Was he wanting to do something else? Okay, now the second question. So finally what happens is they go convince and then Sugriva comes and helps. Then we have Hanuman who goes and meets Sita and then they give Chudamani and so on. There's a time when Hanuman tries to convince Sita in saying that I have a long tail. Why didn't you come with me? I'll take you to Ayodhya. Sita refuses. He says that no. We've all heard from your discourses and whatever little we study that she's the absolute power. She's known for everything. She's not curt, but she's known to be a very powerful lady. Was there a thought running in her mind at that point in time that she was basically trying to question the ability of Rama? At some point in time, she must have felt that this is not what it is. I'm equally frustrated. So these are the 2 questions, and then it would be good if your replies come in as normal Rama and Sita, not as... That's it.
Okay. So, in the 10 minutes that was allotted for this question and answer session, I'm thankful that Shankar has taken 3.5 minutes. So, I'm left with 6.5. So, I'll be very quick. So, to the first question that he asked, as to there was an MOU signed between Sugriva and Rama. The memorandum of understanding was, my wife is lost, your wife is lost. I shall help you in the process of getting your wife back, and you should help in the process of getting my wife back. That was the understanding. So Rama cleared the first part. The first clause 1A and 1B was done because he helped vanquish Vali. He made Sugriva the king. He made Vali's son Angada the heir apparent, the Yuvaraja. Or in Tamil, the word that has been misconstrued and construed in the political and the cinematic circle, Talapadi. So he made Angada the Talapadi. Let's take the word as just the way it appears in the dictionary and let's not add any flowery emotions to it. So after having made this, the promise was to be kept up by Sugriva, because Sugriva said, the moment I am helped, I shall help you back. So in the 4 months time, which is called Chaturmasyam, heavy monsoon season, he said, my monkeys cannot go in search. They have a huge sinus problem. So they can't search during the 4 months of the monsoon. So let's take a sabbatical. After 4 months, I shall get back to you. So Rama was waiting for the blue tick of, not the Twitter, it's chargeable. So he was waiting for the non-chargeable WhatsApp blue tick. So WhatsApp also gives a tick if you have not turned your settings off. So he was waiting for the tick because Rama had sent a message to Sugriva, when is your turn? 4 months to ho gaya, kab aane wale ho tum? So 4 months happened and then there was no network at all from Sugriva's land of Kishkinda, which is Bellari. So the moment Rama got this situation gauged, he sent his brother. So here is where Shankar asked the question, why should Rama went? Because Rama is called as the complete man. He's the Raymond of those days. So when he's the complete man, how could he manage to get angry? First of all, this is the way we have been told. Because we never read the original book. We always read the statement issued by a political leader who has never read the book. That's how we are. So the original book doesn't tell that Rama is a complete man and all of that. It is the biography, a prosopography of a man whose life you can learn and unlearn from. Simple. So in Rama's life, Rama had his own set of values and perfections and small set of imperfections too, because that is what makes you a complete man. If you become completely devoid of flaws, you become divine. So he was trying to be as human as possible. In the process, Rama was of course a person who had to vent his anger because his wife is lost, he has lost his kingdom, his wife is lost, he is in a no man's land, and he had made a vow that he will not enter any kingdom. Nagarathukulla nozhaiya maaten. I will always stay in the outskirts. Once upon a time, Chennai had its own outskirts like Tambaram and everything. Now Chengalpet is an integral part of Chennai. So I don't know which is the outskirt of Chennai. So let's say Bangalore is the outskirts of Chennai. So he was staying in Bangalore, and that is when he sends his brother, because it was a custom in those days that you always let people of their positions meet. A foreign minister always is welcomed by the foreign minister of another country. So Rama did not want to go meet Sugriva because Sugriva was paying his taxes to the Ayodhya processing center. Ikshvakuna miyam bhumihi sashaila vanakanana. So he was a subset of the superset called as Ayodhya. So Rama could have not met him formally. So he sends his brother. So one is an act of vent. You vent off your anger. Second, you remind the other person your promise. See, it's not only anger. You have to remind that person because that man was a monkey. Monkeys are generally fickle-minded. Kshana-chittam, kshana-pittam. They are very indecisive. So you have to remind the indecisive monkey to be decisive at least for a moment. So he had to send his brother. The third reason is, if you suppose you have made a promise to do something and you don't keep up that promise, you shall incur sin. So Rama did not want his friend Sugriva to incur the sin of not keeping up his promise. So he sent his brother. So all these were reminders given to Sugriva. Why did I touch upon the point that Rama should be treated the way Valmiki is given? Because Valmiki has treated him as any normal human being. So beautiful. Of course we worship, we pray. But when we pray, we see him as a human being who encompasses pluses and minuses. Nammalvar, the person who has given Thiruvaimozhi says, Karpari Ramabiranai Allal Matrum Karparo Purpa Pullerumbadu Ninniye Narpal Ayothil Vazhum Characharangal Muttravum Narpalukku Uittanan Nanmuganar Petta Nattule, says Nammalvar of Tirukkurugur. Now, let me come to the second question. The second question was of Hanuman. Hanuman was on a surgical strike. He went at 10 p.m. in the night and came back at 5 a.m. in the morning. He went to the neighboring country called Lanka. So he had to come Otherwise, because he was caught. The beauty was he was the Abhinandan 1.0. He was caught. And Ravana said, let me kill him. That's when Vibhishana said, as per Geneva Convention, you have to send him back. So he was sent back. This Hanuman ended up meeting the lady called Sita, who was languishing herself in the prison of Lanka. That is when he tells Mata Sita, why worry? Let's keep the story straight. You sit at the back. I will tie a belt. I will carry you along. Ramayana ends here. You can save 3 days of Dushyan's Navaham. So, deal done. Why kill so many people? Why fight? Even before Ashoka became a great preacher of peace in the Kalinga war, let's make Rama the person who practices it. Let's stop the war. But Sita was very careful and she insisted that Rama come. That is when Shankar intervenes and asks, when Sita is so all-powerful, she could have very well come. Why did she have to wait for Rama to come? Was she testing Rama's valor? She wanted Rama to keep up his promise, because Rama was married to Sita while she was at the age of 6 and he was at the age of 12. That's what Ramayanam states. There is no dispute about it. Now comes a question, sir, isn't this child marriage? Yes, it is a child-to-child marriage. Why, sir? Because in those days, the practice was the moment the boy or the girl becomes mature enough to think, they'll get married. So maturity, if it dawns at 6 years, you can marry. If maturity is a criteria today, most of them will become spinsters and bachelors. So that's not something that we are going to go into. But here, to this little girl Sita was 6 years. She had barely completed Wheels on the Bus and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Well, she was married to Rama. That is when the father was a bit worried, anxious. He was from Nepal. So Janaka said to Rama, who is from Uttar Pradesh, that my daughter is getting married to you. So what will you do with my daughter? Don't worry, I will take good care of her. Because he is 12 years, she was 6 years. So he's promised that I will take good care of her. Now Sita wants Rama to keep up his promise. See, it's not that she is not powerful, it's not that she can't rescue herself. She wanted him to keep up his promise. I just told you some time back, right? If you don't help the other person in fulfilling their promise, they will incur a sin. So she said, let him come and protect me. One. Second thing, however powerful you are, let's take individually each of us, the man or the woman, however powerful we are, when we are in a distress, unconsciously, inadvertently, we will always expect one of our closest relatives to help us. See, when we fall, generally in English you say, we fell down. That's a redundant statement because you can't fall up. You can always fall down. So you don't have to use the word down at all. But nevertheless, when I fall, I can get up. But I would still see if somebody is around who can give me a helping hand. Not because I can't do it, but I want the other person's existence to also be proven fruitful. So I tell, why don't you come and give me a helping hand? So Sita could rescue herself. But she was in a beautiful commitment and an institution called marriage where the other partner, if the man is suffering, the girl has to help. We have it. While Krishna's driver to Pragjyotishapura was lost in Bhagavatam, his wife Satyabhama says, I will come and become your driver. In Ramayana, when Sita is languishing in the prison, she says, let my husband come and rescue me. What is he there for? I just don't need a marriage certificate with a chapa on it. Let him come and do his job. Not because she was less powerful, but she wanted to tell her husband, you have a purpose. Come and do that. So, this act of Sita telling Hanuman that I won't travel with you was not out of shyness, coyness, that a parastri cannot come behind the son, because she treated Hanuman as a son. So many mothers travel behind their sons on the scooters of Vesmambalam, right? So it's not a big, it's not something wrong. She did not do it out of coyness. She just said, let him serve his purpose. See, Shankar may know the answers for both the questions. But why is he asking? Because the moment he asks, 10 people who do not know the answer will know. Why did Sita tell Hanuman that I won't come with you, let Rama come and rescue? Then only people like us can complete a Navaham in 9 days. Either, otherwise our remuneration will be cut in half, and the 5th day I have to tell my audience to go back home. So on a lighter vein this was said. He started with the lightest of the veins. I'm just concluding with the comparative degree of being lighter. Nevertheless, both the questions which are related to Ramayanam, one simply talks about the institution of keeping up the promise, which was between Sugriva and Rama. Second talks about the institution of the marriage between Rama and Sita, where one partner holds the other with respect. So these are the two questions. I hope I've answered. I've taken at least 12 minutes, a few minutes more than what was subscribed to me. Any more questions? That's all. Done? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, Shan.
Thank you so much, sir. I request Chitra ma'am to come on the dais. Chitra ma'am to felicitate, sir. So, Chitra ma'am, founder and MD of Benchmark Event India Private Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So next, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move forward with the panel discussion 1, Power of Regional Vernacular in Digital Media. And I would like to call upon our moderator, Rohit Bhagat, founder and CEO, to come on the dais, please. Followed by panelist Shikhar Chaudhary, Cognitive, to come on the dais, please. Next, I would like to call upon Rohan Chincholi, Head Digital Services, Havas Media Group India, to come on the dais, please. And also I would like to call upon Dr. Shashi Anand Sridharan, Vice President, Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, to come on the dais, please. And I would also like to call upon Balaji V, CEO and founder, grade1to6.com, to come on the dais, please. And last but not the least, I also request Dr. Rajamani, CEO, New Generation Media and New Era, to come on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome our moderator and panelists with a huge round of applause, please. Requesting all the panelists and moderators to keep the session for maximum 45 minutes. Thank you.
சோர்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்கேன் இந்த நம்ம ஈவெண்ட் சோர்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்கேன் நான் என்னோட ஆமாம் 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 அப்படிதான் ஓகே ஓகே
Hello. Yeah, okay, we'll start. Thanks. Okay, I hope everyone have digested whatever Ramayanam we just heard. So let's move from mythology to some serious talking now. The topic we'll be discussing is about power of regional language or vernacular language in digital media. Before we move to digital as a media, let's understand what internet is and how it has evolved in last 25 years in India. I remember my early days when I finished my engineering, and it was year 2003. Everyone was going for these IT jobs, the typical Infosys, TCS, Wipro. I decided I want to do something different. So when I said different, I was electronics engineer. My dad said, why don't you go and repair mixers and washing machines? So I said, no, different means something different, some industry which I feel would be evolving in next 2-3 decades. So I happened to travel from Pune to Bangalore, and I met a couple of my college seniors. Someone said, internet advertising is going to be huge. And then I called my dad, okay, I want to do a job in internet advertising. He said, what is internet? I said, something you connect to laptop or computer and you get to see the world over there, and over there we'll put an ads. He said, people are not having laptops or desktops and you want to put ads on them. And I just did some research and said the internet penetration in India, that was less than 1%. So I felt the job might not make sense. But still I happened to join one startup over there in Bangalore, and from there till today things have evolved a lot. So internet, right from less than 1% penetration to around 45 to 47% penetration in India has evolved a lot. So I'll just share a couple of stats. I don't want to go wrong, that's why I'll read. At this moment, we are at around 692 million internet users in India, which is roughly around 70 crores. And we are adding 8 to 10 million new internet users every month, just in India. We are second largest country in the world to have active internet users. So before I put a first question to Sashi, internet is not only about content consumption anymore. It has become means of communication. It has become means of information, consuming information. So is it right to say that internet is equal to smartphones? Because that's where the growth has happened. The first reason for internet to grow is access to smartphone, 4G. Okay, is it right to say that internet use is equal to smartphones or any other smart devices? And how has smartphones and Geo impacted the usage of internet and content consumption on digital media? Maybe quick introduction before you answer, so that we'll cover introduction also whenever you get the first question.
Good afternoon to all. I am Dr. Sashi Anand, and I am the Vice President of Kalasalingam University. We are located near Madurai in Srivilliputtur, and Andal, the birthplace of Andal, the previous speaker was also speaking. So nowadays, the penetration of internet is paramount, and as you rightly said, it is no longer a one-way mode of communication. Definitely it has become two-way, especially over the last couple of years when the pandemic, when we experienced the pandemic. Now, me being from the field of education, I'll talk about it from an education perspective, an education point of view, about how schools, colleges, and generally the education industry was prior to the pandemic was we used internet or as a mode of learning or as a supplemental mode of learning in addition to what the classroom experience was giving. So a lot of edtech companies had their online content, and it was whatever the videos or any sort of gamification or anything available on the internet was only a supplemental in addition to whatever was being taught in schools and inside the classroom. Come March 2020, the entire world changed, and especially in the field of education, we were forced to move on to something which we were very unprepared for at that point of time initially. But over time, it became a necessity and we had to accept it. Students, especially from the rural parts of the country where there was no penetration of internet, or I should not say no penetration, minimal penetration of internet, were also forced to start using devices in one way or the other in order to keep up with the learning experience. So with that being the norm from 2020 onwards till now, internet has definitely become a two-way means of communication, because we were using internet for classes, for interactions, for examinations. Basically what was being done on pen and paper completely moved online, to this extent that students are still struggling to write exams. And I also take classes, even though I'm a vice president. So nowadays, when I go to the class and I lecture, you hardly see people taking notes. Before the pandemic, they would open their notebook, take notes. Now it's can we record your lectures? So I was like, okay, fine, no need to worry. We even have lecture capturing systems. Let us record it. You view it at any point of time. Let's have a communication that way. So the whole concept of having access to technology, having access to network, which was foreign to many people, became a norm. So that is the level of penetration pandemic forced on people, and definitely with this, the rate of acceptance by people, because is also a lot more positive, I would say. Nowadays, especially in the education industry, what we think is the face-to-face time, what we get on campus, what we get inside our schools, inside our colleges, is very, very precious. So how can we maximize the interaction which we have, rather than having one-way lectures, which people can view at any point of time, on their devices, be it smartphones, be it tablets, or any sort of. There are a ton of technologies available. So they can utilize that and view the lectures at any point of time, and whatever time which we are spending here, let us utilize it fruitfully for more practical discussions, practical opportunities, practical experiences. That is how it has moved from a one-way to an online, and now into a blended mode of learning. So even going forward, the power of internet, the power of smartphones, and especially the penetration, definitely players like Geo have helped a lot, because I myself know a lot of students who benefited out of this from different strata of the society, who had to benefit out of this and take things forward and keep the learning process continuous. So for this, definitely internet has played a major role and will be playing a major role going forward, not only in terms of learning, but also in terms of the experiential learning also, it would play a major role. I'll keep my answer short.
Sure. Thanks for the answer session. So the small story or small background about how internet developed in India and what it is being used in education right now for. So now let's move to our core topic, the power of regional language. So if you see from 2000 to 2022, how internet has evolved and what it has been used for. So early days, 2005, 2006, 2007, people were using internet to consume news, one-way communication. Some sites used to write news. We used to read those news on our laptops or whatever. Then somewhat smartphones came and we started seeing videos on YouTube. YouTube came in 2008, 2009. Orkut came, Facebook came, whatever. So we started using as a two-way communication. Some user-generated content used to get posted, like mouth shut we heard about, correct? And then we used to consume that content. Now it has evolved to such an extent that we can live stream things. We are watching live cricket matches, live events on internet. Okay, so what has powered is initially it was technology, then smartphones. But for internet to really grow in India, there were a couple of things that were necessary. One was, how come complex operating systems like Windows or Android, which were in English, till smartphones became regional language friendly, keyboards became regional language friendly. So just having a 4G phone or a 5G phone was not important, but also a regional language support for a normal user who does not understand, who has not studied English, can still consume content in his or her own regional language. So that 2014-15 period was very important when operating systems, Macromax, modified Android in such a way that you could set the language of operating system in regional language. Then keyboard became regional language friendly, and that's where the real growth came into picture. So I've got my one stats to be shared. In India, like I mentioned, we are adding 8 to 10 million new internet users every month. Out of those 8 to 10 million internet users, 90% of the users can't speak English. So they're taking internet, they're using internet, but consuming content in regional language. So that's an interesting stats. Should I have a question for Dr. Rajamani? The brand, Puthuyathalaimurai, I'm sorry, I might not be able to pronounce it well. I don't understand Tamil. So, is in the business of TV, print, and now digital. And you being prominent brands in Tamil-speaking audiences, how your journey has been in running the regional language content across the media, be it TV, print, and recently digital, and what are the challenges and opportunities in running the regional language content business, and how it has grown, and what are the changes have happened in last 5, 3, or 2 years?
Actually, it's a very good question. First of all, I want to tell all of you that the Puthuyathalaimurai, you just mentioned the Puthuyathalaimurai is new generations. New Puthuya means new and generations, Talaimurai. And this particular thing, how they started, the promoter Satyanarayana, how he started this particular idea, he is the person who really wanted to do a lot of things for the students. And then I think he is having his own SRM University in Chennai and Amravati Nagar and Sikkim and all these things. And he started his own, in addition to his university, he started his own technology company. After doing the technology company, suddenly his mind went for the writing. He wants to develop his writing skill and he wants to convey a lot of things to the younger generations. Then he started the Puthuyathalaimurai magazine. But Puthuyathalaimurai magazine, those days, before COVID, I am just telling you, it is a real favorite magazine for all the school students and college students. And he introduced the women pen, Puthuyathalaimurai pen and Puthuyathalaimurai Kalvi, Puthuyathalaimurai educations and all these things. It went on very well. And then suddenly, 11 years before, that he got that idea, why don't we convert this kind of similar idea to the media? So he started that Puthuyathalaimurai television channel. When he wanted to do the Puthuyathalaimurai television channel, his mind went whether I should go for infotainment or news. That time, that time the Indian Tamil Nadu government, this side and that side, this side and that side. So that time he started the Puthuyathalaimurai news channel. And the Puthuyathalaimurai news channel, one side is Sun TV, I can just tell the name also, Sun TV, the other side is Jaya TV. People wanted to get some kind of neutrality. I want to know what is really happening. Then he started the Puthuyathalaimurai news channel. That became very, very powerful. Within 2 months, 3 months time, it became the #1 channel. And then it really went all these things. The only one idea he is always having in his mind, media ethics. In Tamil, we are calling as media ethics means, that media is our Thagaval Thodarbu Sadhanangal. We should have the ethics, that is Aram. Aram, we should, in the Tirukural also, we are always telling the Aram is very important one. So in the channel, he doesn't want to put any kind of advertisement that shows a little bit that side or this side. He doesn't want to put a lot of crime shows and all these things. His idea is all the time, whatever people wanted to see, we can give. We can give the ratings and all these things. But that's his idea is not like that. Whatever people wanted to learn from the media, whatever people wanted to learn and whatever people wanted to use that one for the standard of living, we have to use that one for the media. So basically, currently it is really different from all the news channels. He started the Puthuyathalaimurai news channel, it became very popular. After 2 years afterwards, he wanted to start the entertainment channel also, Puthuyugam. The Puthuyugam also, he doesn't want to put a lot of soap operas and every day he wanted to see, he didn't want to do the extramarital affairs and Mamanar problem or Marumagal problem, daughter-in-law, son-in-law problem, daughter-in-law is killing son-in-law, mother-in-law, like that. He doesn't want to do anything like that. He wants to do again the similar, but the general entertainment channel putting all these ethics is really difficult. But the Puthuyugam channel, Puthuyugam is a new era. So he just started that one also. If you just see the Puthuyugam channel, you can see a lot of things like that. It's not, we are not doing the entertainment, we are doing the entertainment, but we don't want to cross our borders. What people need, that one. But at present, your questions, I want to tell, because LV is here and I'm always attending his lecture and always attending his present is very good. After attending all his present, our mind is always going for the digital. Nowadays, if you don't want to go digital, just forget your business. Go digital or go obsolete. Go digital or go perish. So this is the one. Now the basic idea for us and especially the conflict, this media forum, I am just telling you, we are always having the problem. Whether we should send more money for the internet and the digital side, or I should spend more money for our regular entertainment platform. So it's a really big dilemma for us, but we decided, that is our company, we decided, whatever it may be, but we have wanted to put all our investments only for the digital. That is the future. So Puthuyathalaimurai, we have got the Puthuyathalaimurai digital also, and also we have the Puthuyugam digital also, and also we have the Federal. The Federal is the English news portal, we always having. And one side, again, I want to tell you something like that. Just now you mentioned about the regional, and we wanted to go not only for the regional one, we want to go for the local. Our concept is global. One side is a global, another side is a local. We want to go for the local. So, for example, I want to tell, because you know that yesterday we had a meeting with all our reporters here in Coimbatore. So we already started a PT Kovai, Puthuyathalaimurai Kovai. We started Puthuyathalaimurai Trichy, Puthuyathalaimurai Nellai, Puthuyathalaimurai Madurai, because we want to go for the real local one. That is the idea we are just doing. For example, Kovai, yesterday when I had a meeting with all our reporters, how many of us know that the whole Tamil Nadu film industry started from this particular region? Either you take MGR, you take Karnanidhi, or you take MS Viswanathan, our music directors, and all these people started from here only. All our big movies, first our national award movie Malaikalan started from here. And our Narasu studio in Salem also, it's all, everything is from this region. But are we really doing? And you know, there's so many colleges. If you just ask Anand Mahendra, in the first city he will tell about Kovai only, because he studied here also. So we want to go for very Namma Kovai, that is our Kovai, like that. We want to go for the very local one, and also we want to go for a lot of freelancers. We cannot really do everything on our own. Our producers cannot do all these things. But because of the internet penetrations, because of the mobile, now everybody is becoming the producer. Those days I want to learn means I went to Pune Film Institute. Now there is no need for Pune Film Institute. Everything is from mobile. You can learn all these things. And they are the people who are ruling the world. So we have to go along with them if you really want to go and improve your business.
Thanks. So that's an interesting story. So how it started from TV, or print rather, print magazine to TV channel to now digital heavy. And it is really encouraging to listen that brands are having dilemma, or the content creators are having dilemma whether they should invest more on TV or digital. I would say go for digital. It will help our businesses. Okay, so internet has always been perceived as non-serious medium, because easily fake news would get popular, it would be trending, fake videos would get trending. But COVID did one interesting thing. So COVID brought internet to be a very serious medium. The moment COVID came, people started interacting more via digital medium or internet medium. Somehow education, which was staying away from internet, suddenly became, okay, we want to be internet friendly again. Okay, so my question is for Balaji. Again, I would want you to introduce first before you answer the question. That how COVID has impacted your business, that is grade126.com, and how was it being developed with focus on your products for regional languages? Do you have any focus on regional language products? And will digital media in regional language be accepted by the masses? This is a generic question. Will digital media in regional language be accepted by masses?
Hello. Thanks a lot. The pre-lunch session is the worst session. You know, I think Shankar is taking revenge on me. I'll take care of him later. Anyway, see, I started grade126.com in 2016. Between 2016 and 2019, I must have met about 1,000 school principals, 3,000 teachers, 5,000 parents. Nobody bought digital. We do the very basic. We do maths and English worksheets for primary schools, period. Everybody said, absolutely no digital. We want print, and digital will not succeed. It's paper and pen, period. 2019, Modi announced 21 days of big holiday. All kids enjoyed, teachers enjoyed free holiday. Came back, suddenly they realized the parents are not paying the fees to the school. Schools had to do something. Online education. Okay? It started big time. The same schools that I approached 2 years back, they all came back to me, Balaji, we need this, Balaji, we need. Okay, so it took off. But what happened, the international players in the market, you know, we have 2 or 3 major players who were there. They all gave it complimentary and free. We were a small subscription based. They felt from the human angle, you know, we should give it free because parents are affected, jobs are lost, everything. We should save education. We also had to give it free. we couldn't charge. So our usage went up about 100 times pre-COVID to COVID. But our monetizing was zero during those first 9 months, 1 year, because everything was free, but we were happy. Okay? So it was good. Pre-COVID to COVID was good. The awareness, which probably would have taken us years, happened overnight. It became, I wouldn't say it's too much of an online education, it's more of WhatsApp or video education that worked. But anyway, it worked very well. Coming to the thing of regional language, yes, this is something that we realized it in the last 1 year. So we're working on developing a content. Thankfully we do English and maths worksheets. So you can't teach English in Kannada or Tamil or Telugu. 50% of the problem is solved. So we have maths. Maths, again, the sums are in English. Only the questions are in the local language. So we are working with teams. We tried the automatic process of Google and other translation. It doesn't work out. So we are working on 3 languages. That is Hindi, Bengali. This is the 2 languages that we're starting. Thanks to Rohit, he said Tamil should be the next one. So we look at it. Hopefully by the start of the next academic year, we'll have this. What is the last question?
Will regional language content consumption be accepted by masses? Making it a mainstream.
Yeah.
It has been accepted by the numbers, but will it be mainstream?
See, as far as the education is concerned, every parent's dream is that in India, my child has to be educated in English. He should speak, read, write in English, and he should attend a private school, and he should attend a IIT and all those things. So again, there's a huge discussion now whether medicine or things should be taught in regional language. It is difficult, it's quite difficult, that aspect of it. But having a strong foundation in English is absolutely important, irrespective what medium you learn in your school. So even if you're learning in Tamil medium or Telugu medium, I think you have English as a subject. So that aspect is fine. And we don't, as far as the company is concerned, we still continue to wish to focus only on English and maths, because these are 2 of the biggest challenges in the world. Not only in India, across the world. 50% of the students hate maths, or they're weak in maths. And 80% of the students can't speak, read, write English. This is the biggest challenge. So we found that niche. We don't want to go out of it.
Sure.
You want to continue.
Thanks for the answer. Great. I've got an interesting follow-up question, which I'll cover after the first round is over. Yeah. So what we just heard is that education, people still prefer to be in English language, correct? Everyone wants our kids to learn English, write English, speak amazing English and all that stuff. But remember our days, I'll say our days. I'm also 40 plus now. So we still, till today, speak more than one language. Almost 100% people sitting here can understand more than one language, can speak, read, write more than one language. So there's interesting stats about overlap of languages in India. So when I said recently that 90% of the new age internet users can't speak English, but when internet penetration happened, we still had a regional language content providers like oneindia.com and all those sites where people were still consuming the content. So every human being, if he understands English, would still want to consume content in regional language for his local news. So regional language was never out of fashion. It has always been inside the fashion. So there's one interesting stats. 351 million out of roughly 700 million, that means 50% of active internet users are in rural India, and they consume content in regional language. That means 50% of internet users are not consuming content in English language. Hindi is largest content consumed language in India, which is bigger than English. Bengali is 3rd after English, and 4th is Tamil. So that's why I suggested, Balaji, that you should have Tamil focus products as well. Okay. There's interesting stats as per IMI report that 762 million internet users are there in India, out of which roughly 700 are active month on month. 63% new penetration would happen in rural India. So out of 100 which uses internet for the first time, 63% would be from the rural India. Now, question for Mr. Shikhar. He should introduce himself. He has got very interesting profile. So my question for you is, why do people prefer to consume news and entertainment in their mother tongue over English language? And how does this impact information diffusion from a neuroscience angle? Neuroscience, the word I've chosen because Shikhar comes from very interesting background.
Sure. So let me just introduce myself. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist by profession. So my perspective might be slightly different from my colleagues over here. And all of the points that I'm mentioning are from research that my company Neurons Inc. has done for the past, I think about 7 or 8 years now in India and globally. And the kind of work that we tend to do essentially revolves around using things like brain mapping, using things like artificial intelligence to understand consumer behavior on that subconscious level. So basically one way to understand essentially is why does advertising work better in regional languages? There's a very strong correlation in the brain that we find that regional languages, when you're interacting with someone who has their own language, the amount of mental effort that goes into it is significantly lower. If you are a Tamil speaker, if you're a Telugu speaker and Hindi or English is the second language, you're obviously going to have to put in a lot more effort than you normally would. And that difference in terms of the Hello. Yes, sorry. And that difference in the mental effort is significant because what we find is there's a very strong inverse correlation between the amount of mental effort and the amount of purchase intent that something is being driven. So if a person is basically struggling to understand the information, that's going to destroy the amount of purchase intent that that particular product or that particular brand is arising altogether. Hello. Another thing that we essentially tend to look at is how does the brain really comprehend information? Particularly if you're an advertiser trying to communicate to a regional market with that particular product. What we find is that there's two ways of decision making that happens in the brain altogether. There's a system 1, which is a conscious level response, and there's a system 2, which is a surface level response, a subconscious response altogether. And what we find is that 85 to 90% of decisions that consumers make are completely subconscious. So they're not really happening at the surface level. They're happening underneath the surface in which you have very, very little control over in the first place. So to penetrate that subconscious level, you can't be using languages that are maybe their second or third languages. Because if you're using a second or third language, the conscious brain is always in play, and you're not really seeping into the subconscious that drives that reaction response altogether. And I think the third and final point, I'll keep this very brief, is another thing that we've seen in the past essentially is if a local person is seeing a local person on the screen in a local ad, for example, they tend to have a lot more cultural empathy towards that character or actor. So there's something in the brain called mirror neurons, which are where empathy essentially comes from. When you see someone that looks like you, when you see someone that speaks the same language as you tend to associate with them a lot more. If you are a mother that sees another mother going through the same thing, if you are a cricketer that sees another cricketer going through the same thing, you tend to empathize with them, and that brand recall is significantly higher. That engagement is significantly higher because you're speaking that person's language. And you're not really talking down to them, you're talking to them in a language that they actually understand. So it's these three key points that we find that regional languages has advantages over just going something in Hindi altogether.
Thanks, Shikhar. That's really interesting. And because of such researches, there's interesting brand who changed their labels. There's a brand sitting on our table here, it's a Bisleri bottle. So if you remember around 8 to 10 years back, Bisleri, which is a still well-known brand, everyone understands, everyone engages them with that color, but Bisleri decided to launch their labels in regional languages. It was the first brand in India to launch their labels in regional languages. So you'll find Bisleri written in Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati, wherever, in downtowns if you go to. Slowly, now content consumption, it was still happening in regional languages. We have seen products and services being offered in regional languages. If you go to Amazon, there's an option to change your language from English to Hindi. If you download Paytm, there's an option to change your languages. If you go to Book My Show, there's an option of languages that in what language you want that app to be displayed at. Not just movie selection, but the language of the app can also be changed. So all this is only because we as a consumer, like Shikhar mentioned, that if the products or services are offered in the same language that we understand or speak, we have more affinity towards them. But presently, the sad part. Now let's go to the little sad part, and we have a culprit called as Rohan for that. Okay, the saddest part is brands still don't look up regional language as a premium mode of advertising, especially on internet. Okay, so you will still find, you open a Tamil site, Telugu site, Kannada site, Marathi site, Bengali site, you would still see ads in English language. Okay, why brands are not accepting the fact what Shikhar suggested just now? Okay, why is it not happening? So my question is very simple for you, Rohan. How are digital agencies and media planners and marketing gurus are seeing this industry, the regional language advertising industry? And what are the strategies around this in future? Will it ever change? Are there any conversations happening between agencies and brands? And will it ever change? So please introduce yourself so that they understand. And
hi, my name is Rohan Chincholi. I head digital services for Havas Media Group. Hope I'm audible. Yeah, perfect. I think, partly culprit, but I think a lot of fact also goes on what we have as a brief on the table. But I think to answer your question, I think it's most important to understand that as a country, and then very specifically talking as a media agency, I think it's important to win in many Indias. As an agency, we do realize that the regions are different, the languages are different. But I think it also has to stem from a fact coming from the client. All right. So is the planning happening well in time to take enough importance on the kind of creative and communication that needs to go out into respective markets? It cannot be a case where, a 15-seconder video or a 30-seconder video in a specific language is given, and then, a certain amount of media targets are given, which has to happen. One thing is a fact that, if you have investments on the table, that impressions, that reach is bound to happen. And it is reaching out to the right people, largely because of, I think, technology and large social platforms that are able to create pen portraits of audiences and targeting. So your targeting gets right. Now, just taking the example of, Hyderabad as a market, right? While I understand Telugu and I come from Hyderabad, I do realize that there is significant amount of Hindi-speaking audience, English as well, So just last night when I landed here, the taxi guy, people who landed here and who are not too familiar with the local language here end up communicating in English. I think that's a very strong reality. And I think that is something that India has imbibed. So answering again specifically would be, I think the impetus also goes to the brands on how well are they equipped to have multiple communications. Today, when we work with, one of the automobile clients very specifically, not only is there social communication, but also their assets created into multiple languages. And I think what I heard about, how we respond to local languages, I think is so true because, I think when you go somewhere outside and you meet someone from India, let's say, and let's say hypothetically he tends to speak Hindi or Marathi or Gujarati or any of the local languages, you are naturally bound to connect with him or her better, right? So I think taking all that into account, I would not call it a premium that they would have to pay for any type of communication. I think communication is something that is important, but planning is what becomes extremely critical. How will we better be prepared? I think the ownership is for media, creative, and even the brands all to come together, which they do in now. I think today you mentioned a lot of examples, right? There is opportunity of a local language consumption. So I think all happened because the cost of internet went down, cost of mobile or smartphones went down, penetration or growth is coming from tier 2, tier 3 markets, and I believe they would prefer a local language communication. Taking all this into account, I think it is important for brands, agencies, and creative agencies all to be well equipped.
Great, thanks, Rohan. Interesting, what do you say, examples I would like to share now. So remember the days when Star TV, which is purely Hindi and English channels, they decided that they want to launch a Tamil channel. And when they launched the Tamil channel, ads were still in English or Hindi. The agencies, the video ads, the TV ads were still in Hindi or English. Slowly, they started dubbing the ads. Okay, the same Hindi celebrity who is a brand ambassador would try to have that dubbed Tamil or Telugu language on it. But if you see recently, in last 4 or 5 years, Now brands have also regional specific brand ambassadors. Let's take example of Fair and Lovely or Colgate. They would have a very Hindi speaking brand ambassador for North India and maybe South Indian celebrity for a South Indian languages. So things have evolved on TV. The challenge is still in digital. Like Rohan mentioned, that the challenge, the answer still would be coming from brands or planners or agencies. But I would also like to say that the challenge lies with the technology as well, because TV is simple, internet is complex, and technology would also need to play some role to make regional language as a mainstream accepted language in digital advertising. A quick introduction. Now we have done one questions with everyone, but I am left with my introduction. So I am Rohit, founder and CEO of a company called as Inuksu Digital Media. We run a product called as Adjebra. So a quick introduction about Adjebra. We are the only platform in the world to do regional language ads in digital media in 11 different languages. Now, when I say regional language, now let's understand the scale. We serve around 30 to 35 billion ads every month through our platform in 11 different languages. We serve ads, 1 lakh ads per second. Per second, we are serving 1 lakh ads to any regional language content publisher. Daily Hunt being one of our largest partner. We do work with Puthuyathalaimurai as well. If you open their website, our ads would be there. Now, we have solved some part of technology for brands and agencies. Any ad when you put on Adjebra, brands and planners, they typically write their ad copies in English. So they would not have 11 different language translators at their end. So what we have done in our platform is the moment you put English language ad on our platform, we have professional translators who would see that English ad is being targeted to a Tamil website or a Telugu website or a Bengali or a Marathi or Gujarati or whatever. They would sit and translate every line or every word of that ad into that language. They submit into our platform, and the moment Gujarati site gets open or a Tamil site gets open, the same ad gets translated version of ad is loaded on that site. So that's where we tested Google and any other AI ML platforms as well for translations, but 99.9% of time they fail. So we always have humans who would sit and translate every ad that goes on our platform. So that's quick round of introduction of myself. I've got my sales team as well. If any brand wants to know more about us, Sumit, you can just raise your hand, who does not understand Tamil, but we have a Tamil salesperson as well who understands Tamil. Yes, so he is there. You can just sit and discuss with him that how Adjebra would help your brands to reach the regional language audiences. So I've got one next question for Shikhar. I'm sorry, I would take it one question because there's... Oh, we are already 30 minutes in. Okay. So I'll quickly move to question for Dr. Rajamani. We spoke about only content. Now content can be in written format, content can be in video format, content can be in voice format. So typically when we decide our strategies at Adjebra, we have an interesting strategy called as 3V. Vernacular, voice and video. That's where our company was built on, and that would be our next focus area for next 24 months. So video and voice is an interesting media consumption because written news has got very shorter shelf life. So what's a strategy you do follow for video and voice in digital? And if not, if you have not thought of, so what are your future plans in voice and video format?
Actually, the 3 ways format is really picking up now everywhere, especially the digital side. It's very easy for us to do it compared to the regular platform. Just to mention about something like that, no, because of the local language importance. Because of the local language importance, now the pan-India movies. You start from Bahubali or whatever movies, no, it's all because of the regional languages. Influencers are really making big money also for the content providers. So just I want to tell you 1 or 2 things what we are planning to do. We are the channel every day. We are just putting that half an hour news or 1 hour news for the deaf and dumb children. We'll just give that one for the people. Especially I want to congratulate Kalasalingam University. They are having a very big, interesting course for the deaf and dumb children. I don't think any other university thought like that. I want to congratulate you for that. So it's the similar way. Now we are just, I just want to tell Sikar Chowdhury, we are also doing some kind of research in our research and development team, how to cater the blind students, blind people, our news, half an hour news or maybe 10 minutes news, how to cater them. We are using our artificial intelligence and machine learning and all these things. It is in the research side, and once after establishing, then we will tell you. Yes, the digital is not only for us, digital is for everybody. Digital is for the special children also, special audience also. That is the way we are just going in that. And especially for that 3Vs one, we are going in these directions in a very clear way. And because after the COVID one, we are just going in the different direction of introducing our magazine also in the digital format. There we want to use all these 3Vs, and we want to consult with you for all these things also.
Sure, more than happy to answer. Thanks for the answer. We have got very limited time, so I'll try to keep very brief questions also and answers also. So, Shikhar, I've got very interesting question. Like I said, AI/ML always failed when it comes to regional language. Hello. So, I've got very straightforward question. Will AI/ML ever be 100% accurate when it comes to regional language, or we need to always adopt mix and match approach?
So we are actually working on a lot of different AI tools right now. We've actually, in our services, created a predictive AI platform using our global and India-based neuroscience data, which is able to predict consumer behavior and consumer engagement, consumer attention with about 90-95% accuracy. But I think the limitation there obviously is that it's a much more larger India data essentially. It's not cultural specific. And at the base level, though all Indians tend to function the same way, the cultural differences can't really be discerned through the AI just yet, essentially. So for that, because AI is largely a database media, essentially, the more data we have, the better data we have, the better the predictive AI will be in that case. So what we're presently working on is trying to get more regional data, particularly the more south-based data, into the platform to have a more distinguishing factor between the AI in the north and the AI in the south, essentially, to have more cultural differences that the AI can also represent.
So the answer is simple. It will always be a mix and match of AI/ML with some human help to make ads or content more specific to accepted level. Okay. So I spoke about voice and video. So, but Algebra or the product which we are working on, digital advertising, is all about banner ads, text ads, or whatever, those kind of ads. Video ads are slowly making inroads. But now, let's say video ads typical on internet is the same TVCs. They are playing on mobile when they run a video ad on mobile. Our research says 95% of the video ads on internet is consumed in a mute format. Okay, so then what's the use of video ad? How we are planning to solve this problem is by having voice to text feature. When every video ad that when gets uploaded in Algebra gets subtitles, each subtitle gets translated into 11 different languages. Even if your video ad is in mute, you will have regional language subtitles automatically played. And the same communication which brand wants to have with the end user can be established in a much better and impactful way. And that's where our AI/ML wanted to be, because a lot of time video ads have got that slangs. They'll have English content, but suddenly someone will say some word in regional language. So how AI/ML would be able to understand that, and how do we get that, and interesting things for future. We are also entering into voice ads in future. I'll try to skip that at this moment of time. I've got a question for Rohanna. So when we meet media planners, typically digital media planners, and we are perceived as a very regional language platform. So they always look, okay, for money control, they might spend XYZ amount. But okay, for regional language sites, even if it is Daily Hunt or premium regional language site, there's a price parity we get. Correct? So, why is that? Number one, because our research says 35% of users who consume content on Money Control or CNBC from Madurai would always open some Tamil site and read the news in his regional language. So the user is same. Though the domains are different, but the user is same. So why not BMWs of the world or Mercedes of the world trying to target the users and not the users who are on Money Control or whatever?
All right, actually a tough question. I would not comment on the pricing, but I believe that today we have so many data pointers that proving a Money Control user is going on a regional site or a regional audience is also present on Facebook. There will always be multiple pillars to kind of justify the movement of the audience. I believe both, irrespective of whether it is regional or it's national, I think focus has increasingly becoming more on the audience. Now, if the audience is coming very heavy on regional, I think the strategy needs to be focused on that. And I think largely, I think today people are looking at reach frequency, whether they're getting the right reach. And very important point mentioned, attention. I think that is also increasingly becoming important. That there were terms like viewability and whether people are actually seeing your ad. Now that's a very honest measuring metrics that will come into consideration. But otherwise, I believe that I don't think there is so much of difference that the agencies feel between the two platforms. I think if the audience is there, then we get the plan right.
Perfect, perfect. I guess, Sumit, you need to meet Rohan more often. Okay, one question. I said I have got a very interesting follow-up question, and this will be the last question, and then we'll do a 2-3 minutes of open questions. So for both of you, who are the EdTech pioneers, you can say, though your audience is English speaking, that means the course content is in English, maths and English is always in English. You have got students as your potential customers, correct? But while advertising, is it not that your buyers are parents? Correct? Your buyers are parents, not your students. So, and what if parents do not understand English? So why are your brand communications not in regional language? Or if they are, what are the strategies you follow? Maybe common question to both of you, and we'll just end the session after that.
I guess quick. We have translated our ads. We do emails, WhatsApp, and ads. We have translated in about 14 languages the last 4 years. Not because of this conference is going to happen, I didn't know that. But we were ready because it was very simple. When I met a principal in BR, he could not understand 4 lines of English, forget the 5th word. 4 words of English, forget the 5th word. We translated. And frankly speaking, it is not that written, accurate Hindi. It is also the spoken Hindi that we have used quite a lot, which is very effective to generate business. Okay. So we have been using...
So you are already accepted the fact that you need to translate your ads, though your product is in English.
Yeah, because otherwise they don't understand what we are trying to tell them.
I'll also add on to the same point. So it's a very interesting question which you had asked, because as you rightly said, the buyers are the parents, even though the sufferers are the students, I should say. Yeah. But there are 2 aspects. So definitely, even we have also even before digital media, when we were also into print and visual media as well. So we had ads in both English as well as vernacular languages. Reason being the exact same thing. And nowadays, why we are focusing on both is that even though the ROI is basically when we look at it from a vernacular point of view, because that's where our main income is from the parent side. We also need to continue our content in English. Now it's the question of, do we need to continue in English or not? So for that, the reason being is another main area is perception. So when we want to showcase our achievements, let the world know or let the country know what we are doing, the perception area, the brand awareness is more on the English side, and the ROI is more on the vernacular side.
Perfect. Thanks. I'll just want to conclude this session. And then we are open for any... Does anyone have any question to any specific panelist? Okay, I'll just end up with one example. So, a lot of time when we go and speak to agencies, they said, Rohit, you're solving the translation of advertising problem. But there's a problem beyond that. The moment user clicks on a Tamil ad, the landing page or a website or a Facebook page, it is still in English. How do we solve that problem? Okay, so we have solved that problem as well. So we help brands translate the landing page website. So Policy Bazaar came to us and they said, Rohit, amazing, fine, everything is good. Now, what is the volume you will deliver because my call center speaks only in English? So we partnered with a lot of call centers and helped brands like Policy Bazaar and a lot of other brands have the call centers also in regional language. We did a lot of technology integration. Whenever any click that happened from Marathi side, lead is being filled from Marathi side, their CRM understand that this lead has come from Marathi website, and the call center also speaks the same language, and they have seen 3 times growth in lead to cell closure because of the regional language acceptance by call centers as well. So that's the great part of regional language, and I would like to conclude this session. Thank you. Thanks Shankar for the opportunity. I would say thanks on all behalf of us to Shankar. Thank you, Shankar. Any questions? No, thanks. Everyone is hungry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I request L.S. Krishnan, CEO and Director, Whisper Media, to come on the dais, please. And I also request Sunita Nair, Fourth Dimension Media, to come on the dais, please, to felicitate. Please, sir. Please, ma'am. I request Sunita Nair, Fourth Dimension Media, to come on the dais, please. Very first, I request Rohit Bagad, Founder and CEO in Ixo Digital Media at Jibra. Congratulations, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and give him a huge round of applause. Next, I request Shekhar Chaudhary, Cognitive Neuroscientist, Director, Nuance India, to come forward, please. Huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Next, I request Rohan Chincholi, Head Digital Service, Havas Media Group India, to come forward, please. Huge round of applause, everyone. And next, I request Shashi Anand Sridharan, sir, to come forward, Vice President, Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, to come forward, please. Next, I request Bala TV, CEO and Founder, grade1to6.com, to come forward, please. Last but not the least, I request Dr. Rajamani, CEO, New Generation Media and New Era, to come forward, please. Alright, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we are breaking up for a lunch now, and I request everyone, please do come here by sharp 2:30. Thank you.
Selva.